Hey, Chick-fil-A South Roads team, thanks for joining me on another leadership series. Today I want to talk to you about the idea of delegation. Now, you've heard the saying to be a jack of all trades but a master of none. When you hear that phrase, a lot of times what we're thinking about is people who have become really good at a lot of things but maybe haven't been able to master and get really great at certain specific tasks. And another way to think about it is sometimes it means that we are spreading ourselves thin, that maybe we are focusing on the multitude of things rather than taking the time to really dive deep into a few things that we could be really great at. And I think this is a very easy trap for leaders to fall in as they're growing in leadership. And what I mean by this is that as a leader, you probably got into the position that you did because of your performance and the image that you have, because of your performance that you've given in the business, and you're really good at particular tasks, right? And so you're assigned one or two tasks, you did a really great job, and then now that you've become a leader, you're pursuing becoming a leader, you're given more and more responsibilities within the business, and you begin to try to do all of those things together. And what happens is your energy and effort that got focused on one thing is now getting spread across multiple things, and hence the theory that we become a jack of all trades but a master of none. And so this really leads to the idea of delegation, the ability for us to be able to delegate responsibilities and tasks for other people so that we can focus only on what we can do. Because as a leader, there are some things that only you can do as a leader that no one else can do, and you have to make sure that you get those things taken care of and let other people help you with the tasks that maybe they can do, right? And so there's a lot of reasons why we don't delegate or why we struggle with delegation, but today I want to give you some reasons of how we can delegate, that we can really empower others to both help us but also to help them in their growth by allowing ourselves to delegate responsibilities to them. So the first principle I want to talk about is this idea of just learning to let go. If you want to be great at delegating, the first thing we have to do is we have to learn to let go personally. There's a lot of reasons we don't delegate. A lot of times we feel like we don't want to give up a responsibility. Maybe it's something that we really enjoy doing and we don't want to give that up. Maybe it is because we don't feel like there's somebody else who could do that responsibility as good as we can, and so we want to make sure that we still hold that responsibility to close to our chest and something that we can do. There may be a numerous amount of reasons that we don't want to delegate tasks to other people. Maybe sometimes we don't feel confident in somebody else's ability, but the reality is that there are tasks that we have to let go of in order for us to focus on only what we can do. So the first thing you got to do is you just have to learn to let go. You have to come to the reality is that I cannot pursue excellence in what I'm tasked to do as a leader if I continue to find myself being pulled back into these day-to-day tasks that are keeping me from focusing on what only I can focus on. So you got to first learn to let go. But the second thing you have to do is you have to set clear expectations. So if you're going to delegate responsibility to other people, you need to set the clear expectations of what it is that you want them to accomplish and what you want them to do. You have to make sure that you have given them the right resources, the right skill set, the right metrics, everything that they need to be successful so they can go and do what you've asked them to do. There's nothing worse than telling somebody to go do something and not giving them a clear direction and clear expectations in regards to what they need to do. How can you expect them to deliver the outcome and deliver the results that you are hoping to have if you don't set clear expectations up front? So you got to make sure that you set clear expectations for them. Once you have set clear expectations, though, the third principle is that you have to give them ownership. You have to set them free to accomplish what you've delegated to them. And so sometimes this is often hard for leaders because we want to stay very engaged. We almost want to micromanage their performance. But truly, if you want to help people grow, you set clear expectations, you give them what they need from a resource and training and skill set, and then we give them the ownership to grow and to develop and to accomplish what we've put out there. That also means that there are times that we have to be able to allow people to fail, to learn from their mistakes, because we know if we give them the opportunity to fail in small things, then it might be less likely that they'll fail in the larger things. And so you give them those safe learning environments to maybe make mistakes and to grow and to learn from them and to be there and support them. So the next principle after you give them ownership is that you also have to hold them accountable. So you don't just give them ownership and you say, go after it and whatever happens, happens, right? We also want to hold them accountable. We want to trust them with what we've given them, but we also want to verify that they are getting done what we've asked them to do. So we want to make sure that we trust and verify, hold them accountable, make sure that we set up checkpoints throughout the process. So maybe it's just a task through the night or the day that you've given to somebody. So we want to just check up with them maybe every 5, 10, 15 minutes, just to say, hey, how's everything going? Do you need any support? Everything going well? Can I help you in any way? They know that you're there to support them. Maybe it's a longer task. You've given them a job over the next couple of weeks or the next month. And so we might need to set up periodic checkpoints just to hold them accountable, to say, hey, have you gotten to this point of what I've asked you to do? What do we need to do to move forward, right? So we have to hold them accountable. And then the final thing I say is that sometimes we have to just give ourselves permission to jump in. Now, this is a dangerous thing, right? Because you don't want to jump in too much and feel like you're crowding people or feel like you are micromanaging people. But what I think is important here to realize that delegation is not absenteeism. And so what I mean by that is when you delegate, I think you have to have a culture and a spirit of service to other people. So delegating doesn't mean that you just all of a sudden now give people tasks that you don't want to do, right? And so sometimes you have to give yourself permission to jump in. So a great example of this is something that I try to do constantly is that as an owner, anytime I come in, if I'm coming in through the back door, I try to look at the trash and see if the trash needs to be emptied out. Now, there's people in our business that are great and they help take out the trash, but it doesn't mean that just because now that other people have been delegated that responsibility that I never have to ever take out trash again, right? And so I think for you as a leader, it's important to remember that that you have to give yourself permission sometimes just to jump in and to help out where it's needed. It doesn't mean that you sit back and you say, okay, I've delegated all my responsibilities. Now there's nothing left for me to do, so I just get to sit back and just relax. What it means is that when you have those chances to relax or when you have those chances that are free as a leader now, you use those as opportunities to jump in, maybe help out where you need it. Now people may say, hey, we don't need your help, and that's great. If they don't need it, then it's good. But then it also gives you an opportunity for people to say, hey, we could use a hand, or hey, I was trying to do that, but I was running into some problems, and now you can go in and you can jump in and help them out. So again, delegation is something as a leader that you have to learn to do and learn to do well. I think if you do it really well, you will leave people feeling empowered. You'll leave people feeling more confident in their abilities, and you will provide them opportunities to grow and develop. But if you don't do it well in the business, what you could also do is you could really damage your relationship with people. People can feel that you are using them or manipulating them or really not looking out for their best interests or just trying to avoid work altogether. So we want to make sure that we truly honor people, truly empower and grow people when we delegate, right? But how do we do that? First, we got to learn to let go of what is causing us from delegating and giving true responsibilities to others. We have to set clear expectations of what they need to do, make sure they have the resources and the skill sets that they need to be able to grow and develop. We need to give them ownership. We need to really give them the ownership that they need to go and succeed and do well. We need to allow them to make failures if possible, small failures so they can grow from those. Then we need to hold them accountable, trust that they're going to do the work, but verify that work. Make sure they are doing what you've asked them to do, following up with them along the way, giving them check-ins so they know that you're there in their corner. And then finally, we have to give ourselves permission to jump in on occasion. We need to make sure that we aren't being absentee in our leadership, but we are available to help out and to support the team as needed. I believe if you follow those principles of delegation, not only will you be able to free yourself up to do the things that only you can do, but you will have a team that is more engaged, more confident, and more bought in to what you're trying to achieve in the business. So thank you all again for leaning in to your leadership journey here at Chick-fil-A and for learning how to properly delegate to your team to set them up for success.